Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew Studios. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the code MyWorld at BlueChew.com. Hey, it's Conrad the Mortgage Guy, and we are live at MyWorldPod.com. I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking to yourself, doesn't Jeff's podcast come out on Tuesday mornings? And it does. But if you're live with us right now on YouTube, you're getting the real deal. Of course, we couldn't do it without the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, the Hall of Famer himself, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Buddy, we are starting hot today. Blue Chew, little pre-roll, starting out with a hot tag, as our buddy Mick Foley used to say. So all good, my man. I hope all is well. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5:30 in the Central Time Zone, 6:30 Eastern. We are rocking and rolling. Going to kick this episode off. Boy, oh boy. The wrestling business never slows down. Me and the Queen and Codes had us a nice long weekend down at the beach in Fort Lauderdale, Conrad. If you're wondering about a little sun on my nose here, Cody's all fired up. NFL knows how to stay in the headlines, making all kind of trades and free agency, and business is good, my man. How are you, Conrad? How's the beach?
Man, it was fantastic. I'm excited to be back in the saddle here, and we are live. So if you've got a question for Double J, we certainly want to hear your questions. This is your chance. Interact with us right now.
Yeah, I want to check
your shout outs. We see your questions. We're going to be interacting with you. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff today. Maybe you've been off of social media. Something called My AEW was announced. We'll talk about what that is and what it isn't. We're also going to touch on Mance Warner and Steph DeLander stepping away from TNA. That'll be interesting. Can't wait to talk about Road Dogg and what's next for him. Everybody was talking about Road Dogg last week. Conan made some headlines. AJ Styles has revealed what his new job is. Pat McAfee is talking about what he is or isn't doing with WWE. There's a lot of stuff to discuss. And maybe least of all, I can't believe this is real. It's finally here. Revolution is this weekend, Jeff.
Conrad, hold on. Before we get into this, I don't know if it's the same on your screen, but if we look down there, do you see James 2656? No. Yeah, it's me. Is that James from Kentucky? Or JFK from Kentucky? There used to be a James from Kentucky who used to call in on WCW Live. He was an avid listener, avid call in. Bob Ryder, Jeremy Borash, James from Kentucky. He's kind of legendary. But anyway, folks, we're going to take your question. I just given that guy a shout out. But James, I don't know if that's really you or not. But yes, Conrad, I jumped ship there on you. Revolution is this Sunday. So got me a new jacket ordered, Conrad. I'm ready. I'm ready for some 0 hour conversation.
Yeah, sometimes I get confused. Is the AEW pay-per-view this Saturday or this Sunday? I'm glad you clarified. This particular show is on Sunday. We're going to run through the card. Can't wait for us to talk about that. But before we talk about anything else, Jeff, you and I really doubled down our efforts. Last week's episode of My World was almost a preview for your new documentary, Heart of a Promoter. Of course, it aired at CW Nashville in the Middle Tennessee area on television, but it also aired here on YouTube. If you haven't already, it is available for you to check out totally for free right here on our YouTube at myworldpod.com. Hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on that notifications bell so you won't miss us the next time we're live. Like you missed us today, darn it. Do a better job. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. You get a little push notification. Hey, Double J's live. So listen, let's talk about it. You know, we're a week removed. You've seen the documentary. The world's seen the documentary. Have you had any real life interactions with people in the Middle Tennessee area who said, hey, I saw it. I got to hear what's the feedback, man, that you saw, Jeff?
So I don't even know where to start, but I have. I tell you what, the CW Nashville, what great partners they were. They played that interstitial, the little 15-second promo we put together. Connie, they played that. I think it got almost over 100 times. So there was great kind of promotion going into it. I'm obviously overwhelmed with the feedback, but one of the guys that was actually in the little 15-second promo I went to high school with, and he wrote an email, but I've gotten text and emails, folks in the community I've seen. kind of almost to the man that was, oh man, that was very well put together. It moved fast, those nice kind of comments. But if I have kind of an in-depth conversation, it always kind of circles around, man, Jeff, I got emotional watching it. I said, if you got emotional watching, how do you think I felt? And we've talked, Conrad, offline. We talked, heck, that night, and then the couple of weeks after that, and a couple of times since then. I just really didn't, what do we say, have that on my bingo card that
Yeah.
I would get so emotionally involved. But I think it goes into when you start thinking about my dad and my grandmother and just the lineage that kind of goes into it, promoting a show in your hometown. And look, it's not Madison Square Garden. It was exactly what it needed to be. Literally, I passed that exit, I don't know how many times a day. It's the main exit. And, I can't help but not think now when I look over there that, that was a kind of a magical night. And I appreciate everyone that was all involved. I could go down the entire list. People were saying, yeah, you gave Oak Ridge Boys a shout out. I'm just like, those guys have been in this community forever. They're the real legends and Hall of Famers from Hendersonville. But it was cool, Conrad. I am so really happy that we captured it. Yeah, because it is it'll never happen again.
I'm really glad that you did it. One of the things that one of the reasons I enjoy talking about wrestling with you is you're able to wear multiple hats. I can talk to you and you wear your wrestler hat. I can talk to you and you can wear your promoter hat. I can talk to you and you can wear your businessman hat. There's different hats and you've got different ways of looking at almost any situation. And I think that's why I enjoy doing this podcast with you so much. But I know that oftentimes in business, you find yourself just looking at like black and white ink and you're looking at what is the upside. And sometimes you can't help but get lost in the sauce, as I like to say, and realize that there's another component to this. We're not just doing this for business. There is another approach to this. And I, like you, was surprised that switch flipped for you day of. It didn't feel like ahead of time that it was even there at all.
None.
And then all of a sudden those emotions just sort of bubble to the surface. And I think a lot of times there's a cliche in business where people say, oh, it's not personal, it's just business. And other people would say, no, business is personal. But this particular business, the wrestling business, it's more than personal to you. This is your family business for generations in this community too. So just the idea that we got to capture all of that, I think is really, really cool. And I'm glad that you went along with my silly harebrained idea.
Conrad, and that's the chuckle part that people, if you really knew, but I've tried to articulate it a couple of different ways on here, but, and I said it in a couple of different press interviews. Shout out to our great sponsor, Wrestling on the Spectrum. And Conrad, when you think of all the and we were time crunched and all the different people that kind of came through, and we had the two different commercial breaks on CW, but those guys, Wrestling on the Spectrum, out of all the sponsors, the guy who took really the lead and took the title of it, what a connection that he has, that I can, my family and his family can relate to. It all just kind of fell into place. And I said it on their radio show. I said, had Conrad not have gotten really in touch with me, or had I had other calls booked, going to the airport, headed up to San Antonio, Conrad, I really don't think it would have gotten done. Not because I didn't want to, it's the timing of it. That's what I just went, okay. Kind of silly, but not silly. It just, had I not, and Karen flew in on Wednesday morning. That was another thing that me and her were talking. She's like, yeah, you were in the car by yourself talking to Conrad. So all the details of me and you talked about, and then when I landed, a couple of more, and then, Karen, she jokes with a few folks, and I don't know if you specifically saw her comment. She's like, at first I had really no idea it was this big, and she didn't share the phone calls, but she didn't even know Robert was shooting at the house until we showed up on that Thursday morning. So it all just kind of, it happened exactly the way it was supposed to, unplanned.
I've learned a lot working with you. And one of the things I've learned from working with you, you said it very succinctly the first time you visited sort of my cast of characters here in Huntsville at the office years ago. You said, "Hey guys, a lesson I've learned from all my years in the wrestling business, or just in business in general, ain't almost any problem we ever encountered or stumbled across was from lack of communication."
Hmm.
So I want to say clearly, you cannot over communicate to me. So don't feel like, oh, I don't want to bother Jeff, blah, blah, blah. No, over communicate with me. And I have adapted some of that at different facets of my life. But the one I'll admit, sometimes I forget, and it sounds like you do too. In
That's
an effort to over communicate with our business partners, sometimes the real partner back at the house, they're like, "So why is this guy with a camera in our foyer, baby?"
yeah. And I didn't get to clean up. And Jay's camped out in your chair, and he's got a purple. He's got the purple quilt on. Looks like Barney wrapped up. And I'm just like, honey, it's all right. And if you see Cody's room, it's a mess. That's real time, man. She's gonna get mad at me. No, she's cool with it. But it was funny how that was all. Robert, come on in. It was what it was, but it turned out it was authentic. That's for sure.
What I liked best about it was real. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
we wanted to showcase, because a lot of times when we watch reality shows, we know, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. This ain't real. That's not the way it really happens. That stage, they pre-plan that, whatever. Well, that was not the case. You got the real deal, Double J. We got lots of positive comments online. I wanted to share some of those. David Mann, 4144, says, as a wrestling fan, I especially want to thank Jeff Jarrett for all his work in creating and operating TNA Wrestling. You open the door for a lot of talent and improve the entire business of wrestling with your insight and sacrifices. Another comment. I love this one. I identify with this one. Mellow Pepper, 4784, says, Jeff Jarrett, I used to hate him as a heel, comma. Now I love him as a man. Heart emoji. We got another one from ETP 7146 who says, Jeff Jarrett is an underrated performer. Old school, but can have a match with anyone from any era. One of the best of his generation. I'd say his in-ring skills are parallel those of Kurt Hennig on any given day. Eagles 1 fan 5 says, hell yeah, Jeff Jarrett has always been one of my favorites. Will always and forever continue to be one of my favorites. We're blessed to have someone like him in the wrestling community that's willing to pass on his knowledge to the younger generation. Thank you for everything, Jeff. One last one. This one is from USMC 5150, who wrote, I remember watching Jeff Jarrett start as a referee when he was 18 years old at the start of his career in Memphis. Shortly after becoming an active wrestler, he is one of, if not the absolute best from Tennessee. If you look at all he's done in the business, he is a high level exceptional. I'm proud that I've been able to watch him on TV since I was a little kid. I'm only 7 years behind him on age, so not that far behind him there. But Jeff Jarrett is an absolute legend, and his passion for wrestling shows. Tennessee, more importantly, but the world. Love Double J. A lot of positive comments, man. That's got to make you feel good, doesn't it?
Nice. Enough of this, Connie. Enough of this. But it was very, very cool. Yeah, a couple of texts that I got from folks at church. One of them said, "Oh, you finally pulled out behind the curtain." They got to see a little glimpse of the real Jeff, because there's some folks at TV that, I mean, at church that will pull up Gary Coleman or Beetlejuice, or they're like, I can't even imagine this is you. And I'm like, well, the people in the arena that night might say just the same, but on the other side of the fence. So it was cool. It was, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love. I really do. And right back at those folks.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate all of you guys hanging out with us. As a reminder, we are live right now on YouTube. If you've got a question for Double J or myself, we definitely want to hear from you. I also want to remind you, so many other people have shared their love and thoughts on the documentary. If you want to make sure that Jeff sees those, or you haven't checked the documentary out, I want to encourage you, go check it out. It's available right now for free on our podcast channel. That's myworldpod.com, myworldpod.com. By the way, today we are excited to introduce a new sponsor to the show, Morgan and Morgan. That's America's largest injury law firm. They've been fighting for the people for 35 years and have recovered over 30 billion for their clients. That's right, 30 billion. Not only are they one of our new sponsors, but they're also the official law firm partner of WWE. And what I love most about Morgan and Morgan is that they truly are for the people. Today, they're coming in hot and they want to hook up one lucky fan with 2 tickets to WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas this April 18th and 19th. That's right. They want to send one of you to Las Vegas to watch WrestleMania 42 live. In addition to 2 tickets to WrestleMania, they're also going to be giving this lucky winner $2,000 to help cover the travel expenses to Las Vegas. Now, to enter, all you have to do is text HEAT42 to For the People. That's HEAT42 to 484-373-6753 and follow the prompts. Don't miss out on your chance to watch WrestleMania 42 live. Just text HEAT42 to the number 4, the people. How cool is that? Hey, so Jeff, there's lots of other news and notes, but we do have a live studio audience. Let's jump right into the questions. We've got a question here right now coming to us from AOTV Productions, and my man Silva is going to pop it up on the screen for us, and we will knock this one out for us. Jeff, you want to try to tackle this question for us?
Oh, thoughts on Paramount buying Warner Brothers? Some think Netflix let them do it so that if Paramount falls on their face, they'll buy it for chump change. Now, I don't think that's second statement. I don't think Netflix let them do it. I think Netflix had this is way above my pay grade, but just kind of sitting back using some cornbread business acumen. I think Netflix, and Conrad, you'll be able to articulate it better than me, but I think they looked at it very clearly, and what they wanted was the studios. They're not in the TV business. They are a hell of a successful, the biggest streamer in the world. And I think when the price got where it was at, those folks said, you know what, keep the main thing, and they tapped, and their stock went up because I think there were some people getting a little butterflies that they were getting out over their skis and getting a little uncomfortable. So I think Paramount from the beginning, I have a few folks, namely Conrad Thompson and others, that always kind of thought Paramount, it was the way it was headed. Everything is consolidating. It's going to be very, very interesting. I think it's going to build strength for every brand. When you look at the brands they bought, it's the transition, but I don't know when HBO came on the market, but if there is one name synonymous with quality content, like in all of TV, I mean, you just put it all under one big umbrella. But for the last, again, is HBO mid 80s, I don't know exactly when, but for 30, 35, 40 years, when you think of HBO, you think of quality television. So TNT, TBS is the OG of cable. It's so ingrained. It's really, when you have those kind of brand names, I think Paramount is going to do some consolidating, but I don't have all the answers. But I think it is, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I think we're, kind of look and just say it's kind of the inevitable that how the big conglomerates coming together. But if anybody thinks they can predict the future, who knows? I mean, when you go back and look at AOL Time Warner, man, that's kind of two different businesses coming together. Paramount and Warner Brothers, their studios, their media conglomerates. So I think bring them together, the back end, the synergies. How successful, TBD. But Conrad, what is your Cliff Notes version? What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think a lot of people are curious about this, and we're probably even discussing it right now because of the way people are concerned it may or may not affect AEW. I don't think that's even a consideration for the Ellisons or the people who were behind this decision at Paramount to go ahead and purchase Warner Brothers, because it feels like a long-term play. I mean, I think a lot of people recall that there was a fee of $2.8 billion that needed to be paid in order to sort of acquiesce the deal. It was like a penalty. And I guess Warner Brothers had made an agreement that, hey, if for some reason we back out of this Netflix deal, we'll pay you guys $2.8 billion. Well, when Paramount stepped in, they paid the freaking fee, Jeff, and they paid the fee within 48 hours. And I know that sounds like something that's not a big deal, but I want to remind everybody 2.8 billion with a B, and they fulfilled it in like 2 days. So they didn't have to have a meeting.
Paramount paid
the Time Warner fee. All right. We're resetting here. I thought you knew this piece. So when Netflix made a deal, Netflix said, hey, we want to make sure this deal goes through. And Time Warner said, hey, if the deal doesn't go through, we'll pay a fee. We'll pay a fine. They didn't wind up paying the fine. Paramount wanted the deal so bad, they paid the money directly to Netflix. So Netflix, who lost nothing, got a $2.8 billion deposit. And they had that in cash, Jeff. So it's not like they said, well, let me go see if we can do a stock swap and maybe we can give you equity here, or we'll do a fundraiser, or we'll have some conversations. It's like, no, when do you need that 2.8 billion? How's tomorrow? We'll just go ahead and send it over. Now, I'm telling you all that because just last week we talked about WWE enjoying the greatest success they ever have. Last year's top line revenue, which was an all-time WWE record by a multiple, was 1.7 billion with a B. So they did 1.7 billion last year, and we're saying, boy, that's 4 times as big as it ever was when Hogan, and is even adjusted for inflation, that's at least twice bigger than it was during the Attitude Era. So I'm saying this is by far the biggest and best year they ever had last year. Now that's not 1.7 billion in profit. That's 1.7 billion top line revenue. And Paramount said, hey, Netflix, we really wanted this. So here's 2.8 billion. We're going to send you the money tomorrow. Not you're going to work your ass off and be the most successful wrestling promotion ever and get a top line of 1.7 over the course of a year. No, just like House Thursday, we just send you almost double that in straight profit and cash.
It's unbelievable.
So when you think about it in terms of that, it's like, hey guys, I love AEW. Jeff works for AEW. A lot of my friends work at AEW. I'm pulling for AEW, but I'm saying, are the people who were really making those decisions?
No, never.
It's not even on their radar. So the chips will fall where they may, but let me assure you this. And I know that this is what everybody's nervous about. And I want to say it in a loud and clear voice. AEW ain't going nowhere. Now, I know that some of you right now are upset that I said that, and you're going to say, oh, he's a shill. Let me just talk logic to you here for a minute. There are only a handful of things that money can't buy. There's a lot of things that even though they're not advertised for sale, boy, for the right price, they are. One of those things is an NFL franchise. And although it's a lot of money to me and you, Jeff, there are a lot of billionaires out there, but there's only 32 of them rascals who have an NFL franchise. So this is the elite of the elite. I'm not saying that to be funny, and I'm not trying to have a political conversation, but there's a lot of people who say, well, Donald Trump's a very wealthy man. Where's his NFL franchise? Well, Vince McMahon, where's his NFL franchise? Well, Elon Musk, love to hear about his NFL franchise. I'm just saying there's an approval process, and this is a members only club. It's hard to get into. I'm just saying, if the Khan family can find a way into the NFL, you don't reckon they can find a way to get a television deal? The idea that a guy who owns an NFL team wants to call and solicit a meeting with any television network, well, he gets that meeting, Jeff.
Oh, no. I mean, that's why I've chuckled on all of it, but it's fun chatter.
It's a great time to chatter, but I'm just saying the people who are like, well, this is the end of AEW. No, it's not. It's not. It's not going away. As sure as I'm talking to you right now, as long as Tony Khan is breathing in and out, AEW's here.
Yeah, but is there that much chatter? Because I mean,
buddy, the tribalism is off the charts, and there's so many people who are like, well, now that they've blah blah blah, they're going. No, they're not.
Oh God,
that's never going to happen. And if you'd love for me to have some further social proof, I would present to you. I'm talking to the founder of TNA. Now, Jeff, how much equity do you have in TNA today? You don't have to give me the real answer, but the point is, are you the majority owner?
Yep.
Does it still exist?
Yep.
Is it still on TV?
Yep.
When did they first start saying you were going out of business? You started in June of 2002. When did you first start hearing you were going out of business?
July.
Okay. Now,
It's legit.
folks, it ain't going nowhere. So if you're an AEW diehard, rest assured, AEW ain't going nowhere.
Heck no.
And if you're an AEW hater and you're like, I want them to go out of business, you need to reevaluate what you're saying. Doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's not logical. And you know what? I just dawned on me, and it really did just dawn on me. And I want to talk to you about it later. But I had what alcoholics may call a moment of clarity this past week.
Okay.
I have said on this program and others and all over social media for years, I don't get why you hate watch something. If you don't like it, just don't watch it. And I always made comparisons to like The Sopranos or other television shows, just a traditional television show. But it really clicked for my dumbass, and I'll admit, I'm from the South, so it takes me a little while every
I
now
can't
and again.
wait to hear this. Oh boy. What you got, pal? Lay it on me.
WWE fans are sports franchise fans. AEW fans are sports franchise fans. Let me explain.
Okay.
Never did I ever watch The Sopranos and say to my friends, boy, they got to get better writers in here. That never happened. Another thing that never happened was, hey man, did you see that Sopranos rating last night? Set a record. Here's the other thing we never talked about. Hey, did you hear how much James Gandolfini is getting paid per episode? For the amount of money he's making, he better act better next week. I'm not happy with his level of acting this week. That's never happened. And then I applied my sports franchise hat. And as you know, as long as my dad's breathing in and out, he's roll tide till he dies. And I was raised the same way. So if Alabama is playing their most hated rival, Auburn, dad's watching. If Alabama is playing number one in the nation, Indiana, dad's watching. If Alabama is playing the Hilltoppers from Western Kentucky, dad's watching.
Big Larry don't miss.
He's going to watch them all, whether they got a good coach, a bad coach, good players, bad players. And by the way, when they're playing bad, he's in a bad mood and he's going to fuss about it and he's going to cuss about it. Now let's talk about it from an NFL perspective. On the NFL perspective, I don't live in an NFL town. You do. But when the Titans are playing like ish, I'm sure it's all they talk about on the zone. True or false?
All literally, they do not let 3 minutes go by without mention.
And you got to, let's talk about firing the coach because he can't win. He sucks. We're not getting the results we want with him. And by the way, if we're paying that money for a first round quarterback, his ass better start producing. We're overpaying him. You ain't paid nothing, but you're at home watching whether they're winning or they're losing. And guess what else you're going to do? You're going to buy the merch. You're going to make sure you got that new Titans hat, even if they're losing. You're going to make sure you got that new Titans jersey, even if they're losing. It's a fucking sports franchise. And it took this whole time for me to figure it out. I've been processing it like it was a TV show.
Oh,
and I think I do that because we always talk about ratings. But that's the metric for wins and losses in this sports franchise. So what I mean is, like, I had this stress test with my dad a few months ago. He's MFing some college quarterback. This guy's terrible. He's terrible. I can't believe they're talking about him. Who would blah, blah, blah. And I knew the way dad's brain works. So I said, Dad, I don't know if you heard, but he's going to hit the portal after. What if we got him to Tuscaloosa? Dad's whole demeanor changed. And he goes, oh, buddy, how bad would we be if we had him? I mean, he just 180'd immediately. He's terrible. He's awful. Don't want him. Can't stand him. He's a turd. He's a this. He's a that. Hey, Dad, what if we got him? Oh, God, I'd love to have him. That's exactly what they did to Cody when he was in AEW or WWE or whatever. When a guy switches, oh, he's our guy. No, we hate him. Wait, it's the same guy either way. What are we talking? That's when it clicked for me. It's like, oh, one of these wrestling companies is the Cowboys. That's probably WWE. And the other one is the Eagles or the Giants or the Redskins or whatever. My point is it's a division rival.
Yeah.
You get where I'm going. And it's, oh, duh, they're the Jags. But you get what I mean. I'm just giving the example of, we all know that America's team, they're established. They got a lot of revenue. Okay, that's WWE. But the other division rival, man, I don't want to see any of our guys go over there. So it's a sports franchise. And I'll admit that was a blind spot for me. And then when it clicked, it's like, oh, it all makes sense now.
Connie, I'm chuckling, but And I brought it up a couple of times, and man, maybe this letter exists somewhere in this house or my dad's house, my stepmom's house anyway. But I've kind of talked a couple of different times. But my dad sat down not long after Panda came in, and it took about, I don't know, 4 months. It was into 2003 before everything was, well into 2003 before all the documents were signed, and it was a long, big time process. But my dad was like very grateful, still on good terms there, and all that kind of stuff. But he wrote a letter to Bob Carter about, and he titled it "Mind of the Wrestler: Understanding This Industry," something to that effect. And he went into great detail. And I think this is where I guess you could say, growing up in this business, I take a lot for granted or assume, and I've just lived it so many different times and thought through it all that, in that there is a reason why it's a niche business. You said that there is 32 NFL franchise owners. Well, in the territory days, and I love to kind of see those maps when you look at the territories that were kind of broke up, and how it was, and everybody worked on a handshake agreement, and there were little outlaw promoters here and there, but never could break through. And look, we could get into the politics and all that kind of stuff, but when you really look at it, it was nothing illegal that was going on. And if a successful promoter wanted to be successful, he could have. But just kind of understanding the DNA of the industry, it is unique. It just simply is unique. I won't go down the rabbit hole of TKO and all that kind of stuff, but you can kind of look at AOL Time Warner and the merger, and going from Ted Turner to the merger and the death of WCW and all that kind of stuff. When you look at people that get into the industry and kind of, well, yeah, this looks easy. And my dad used to always say, the graveyard of promoters, there's a real reason why that is because they don't take time to understand at the very, very core of the business is the mind of the talent. Because if you don't understand the mind of the talent, how the hell are you going to put something together? They're the ones that are in your main event and in your semi-main event and in your mid card and in your opening card. And he just would go into great detail and philosophize. And, he was the deep reader, but he was always, really looked at it through a different, I don't say a different lens, but he would really go into, that is something that totally separates the successful promoters from the ones that are in the graveyard, understanding the mind, because it is unique. And, it's not about wins and losses. Well, it's how you interpret that, and it's where you're at on the card and the incentives. And, I get generations change, but I think I'm trying to follow up on your conversation, Conrad. I have no idea if I'm making any sense here, because you're saying the mind of a fan. I think the mind of the fan is also channeled into, they're a fan because they have a great attraction to the genre. And what is it about the genre? Oh, I love all the bad guys. Okay, why do you love the bad guys? Or I love the good guys, or I love the art, I love this or that. So understanding the fan base, and you said, oh, it's sports franchises. I'll say yes, but.
Yes, but I love it. I love that we're having these discussions. I love that we're live on YouTube, and we definitely want to hear from you. If you've got questions, keep them coming. But one thing you'll never have to question is that me? Do I smell okay? You're going to smell great thanks to Mando. Don't take my word for it. Ask Cody Angle.
Right on.
His little narrow ass is running around Hendersonville bathing every other day, and nobody even notices because of Mando. And you can too. Now, I'm not saying necessarily recommend that, but I do want you to know that Mando men get the job done right, because they know that Mando doesn't mask the stink. They eliminate it before it ever starts. You see, Mando is whole body deodorant that's safe to use anywhere on your body. Double J uses Mando on his armpits. He uses it on his belly button. I've even heard he uses it on his feet, his butt crack, and I won't tell you how I know, but allegedly he uses it on the old yam bag too. You see, Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated But Mando has been clinically proven to block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours. Now, you got a couple of different forms for your Mando. You can do that solid stick deodorant that's formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it even starts. But you've also got the spray deodorant. That's aluminum free and ideal for those hard to reach places. All the Mando products, by the way, are baking soda free and paraben free. And I don't know if you've been on the fence about it, but this is a real thing. And I just want to make sure it's coming through loud and clear. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than Old Spice. And if you're ready to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now, I want you to know you can find them in Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. But for the very best deals and to support our show, go right now to shopmando.com and use the promo code MyWorld for 20% off. That's shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to those sweat stains and say hello to long-lasting freshness. Jeff, the Jarrett household has been a big proponent of Mando for a while. I mean, Miss Karen, she's really maybe the biggest supporter of Mando. Is that fair to say?
Well, I was going to ask us to go to a 3-shot because I had a question to our crackpot producer today, Mr. Silva. But if he's not going to, here we go. Here we go. I got a question for. There he is, Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Buenos dias.
Hola, mi amigo.
Conrad, and you can tell you've known Dave a long time, and you can tell when he's bullshit and when he's not, right?
He's only bullshitting when he's awake.
Well, in honor of Mando, I just want to know, Mr. Silva, what is your Grundle odor score currently?
Oh, what time is it?
No. Don't guess. Check for us. That's what we do here on. Come on.
Oh, here we go.
He's reaching for the chain, and we just saw his flesh-colored yarmulke. What do we got?
Bourbon leather.
Oh, he's doing it. Go, Mando. Check it out.
I would come through. Beautiful, beautiful, Mr. Silva. Beautiful.
Shopmando.com. Use that promo code MyWorld. You'll get 20% off, and your balls will stink less. You know what? We are live. We just proved it, by God. We're going to take some questions here. Silva, throw us up a great question here, and we'll have Double J read it off, and let's get to it, Jeff.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. At AOTV Productions. Hey, Jeff, do you remember whose idea it was for Joker Sting? What did you think of it? People either love it or hate it. You know what? I was one of the ones in the first time I saw it, I didn't particularly care for it. Obviously, I was born and raised on Stinger, big fan of Stinger, big WCW guy and all that. And the Joker Stinger kind of caught me off guard. Great question. It really came around on me, but that was truly the collaboration between Sting and Vince Russo, and obviously just that whole vibe. And Sting, man, when he got dialed into that, I thought it was some of his best. When you go back and look at all the iterations of, you can name different talent throughout the years who just kind of played extensions of their personality. When you look at Joker Sting, that is a guy that I've seen in dressing rooms. He turned it up to about 10 when he's on camera, just kind of having fun with a Steiner or a Lex, or just kind of messing around at the gym or whatever it was. I love that. So, but Russo and Stinger collaborate on that. Thanks for your question.
Great question. I do want to hit some news. We've got some sad news that I can't believe that we're having to talk about, but there's been multiple reports from different media outlets in Mexico that indicate that our friend, who we know professionally as Conan, has undergone a surgery to amputate one of his legs due to some medical complications. Yeah, the report says the 62-year-old wrestling figure is currently hospitalized in San Diego, California, where he is reported to be in a delicate state of health. PW Insider, our friend over there, Mike Johnson, says there's been no official announcement or comments on the reports out of Mexico that Conan was hospitalized and had his leg amputated, but the general belief within the pro wrestling industry is that the report is accurate. And I sometimes think that Conan doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I know a lot of people know that he was once a mega single star in Mexico. It's hard to really contextualize how significant he was. And I think you could go back and say, hey, a lot of the success of AAA was built on the back of Conan originally, just the creation of it with Mr. Pena years ago. But then when you look at the way he was able to cross over into America, I'm not talking about the cup of coffee with the WWF, but the way he was able to not only get himself on WCW programming, but really become a pipeline that pushed the business forward. Because there's a whole lot of people who try to give a lot of credit to our friend Eric Bischoff for the cruiserweight division. And by the way, Eric deserves that credit. But really, a lot of the people would say, you know, the straw that stirs the drink were the luchadors. And so when people start to give Eric credit for that, smartasses will say, well, actually, Paul Heyman had him in ECW first. And that's correct. But how did they get into ECW? How are they on Paul's radar? And the answer is they had an advocate named Conan. Conan was pushing those guys, and they all had a much better quality of life. But think about the way a Rey Mysterio and a Juventud and a Psychosis and a La Parka, man, they changed the way American fans viewed lucha, and they accepted it. And there was one guy sort of pushing them to cross the border and cross over and make a name for themselves. And I thought it was really cool and classy when Ray got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He had Conan induct him. Who better? And I hate to hear that he's having these health complications, but I hope that he knows how much he's meant to us wrestling fans. Even if maybe you don't self-identify as a Conan fan, buddy, you have enjoyed the fruits of his labor. Is that fair to say, Jeff?
Oh man. And Conrad, I was on the beach Saturday, Friday afternoon. Was it Friday afternoon, Saturday? Conrad, I saw that, and we always, pretty much stay up and text back and forth, but a month or two will go by. But man, Conrad, I saw that headline come across. I immediately texted him. I didn't ask any details. Didn't just say, hey, dude, love you. Hope all's well. We text back and forth. He said some funnies like he always does, and we went on about our way. But man, yeah, Conrad, look, here's, boy, when we've had this conversation offline, but I've had it, and we've both done his pod, but he's not going to sit there and talk about himself, but they've got a different format. But when you really look at what you just said, and I think any WCW fan, when you look at Nitro, if you take out the Lucha Libre aspect of Nitro, I just don't think you have, yes, you have NWO, and I'm not trying to say that it was the end all be all, but I just think it was a massive part of the success of Nitro, the Lucha Libre style, which is Rey Mysterio the legend and icon that he is today without Nitro? I personally don't think so. You kind of look at Ray against Dean, Chris, that kind of group. Anyway, I just think the Lucha Libre, it goes without saying, the day before I launched TNA, I knew that X Division needed to have a big part of Lucha in there. So look, I could go on and talk about him, but when you look at the history of AAA, obviously Antonio launched it, but man, he passed 12 years after he founded it. Another 20, almost 20 went by before he was acquired by WWE. And I cannot say enough good things about Dorian, but Dorian was a kid when he inherited it, and his dad took over the business reins, and obviously his mom was a big part of it. And they had they surrounded their team, but there were some ups and downs. But man, you remove Conan from the history of AAA, and I guarantee you it does not look the same, not even remotely close. And as from a personal perspective, we had a lot of success, and I say we, me and Karen. Conan knew exactly how to heat up the king of the mountain down there to ways that, I've said it on here. I think there was a period that was the hottest I'd ever been as a heel, was kind of one of those runs in Mexico. Man, it just all fit and glued. So, yeah, prayers up for my man. He'll pull through. He always does, man. He always does.
I know that I'm probably going to piss some people off with this, but I really do believe it's the only comparable. But I want to challenge you with it.
Oh,
I want you to really think for a minute.
oh boy.
Who is the American equivalent of Conan? Now, what that encompasses is you've got to think about their in-ring drawing ability, like how big of a star were they when they were selling tickets, and then someone who contributed in a major way as a booker, like they had a great mind for the business and they knew how to position other guys to draw money. And then lastly, who would invest in the individual talent for their personal growth? Like when you really think about that, I think it makes it more challenging. I want to hear from Jeff, but I also want to hear from you guys. We're live on YouTube right now. And who do you think, if you had to make a comparison, like Conan is to Mexico, what blank was to America?
Do you have one in mind? One just
I-
popped in my brain.
I do. But before we talk about it, I want to talk about, I want to give our audience a chance for you to think and let us know in the comments what these suggestions are. And then I want to hear your answer and I'll share my answer. But first, I know if you were to ask Jeff a question like, hey, Jeff, what's for dinner? I know the answer already. The answer is Factor. Same thing as it was for lunch, because Jeff knows he wants to look good. He wants to feel good. He wants quality functional ingredients. He wants lean proteins. He wants colorful veggies. He wants whole food ingredients, and he needs those healthy fats. Here's what he doesn't need: refined sugars, artificial sweeteners, refined seed oils. No, he's looking for healthier eating. He's looking for calorie management. He's looking for more protein. If you're looking for any of that, buddy, look no further than Factor. Factor is how you're going to stop allowing a busy schedule to be your excuse to eat better and feel better. Fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. That's what you get with Factor. And here's the best part: it's ready in 2 minutes. There's no planning, there's no cooking. Open the fridge, throw it in the microwave. 2 minutes later, you're eating good in the neighborhood, buddy. They got 100 different rotating weekly menu meals too. They're going to keep things fresh. You're never going to get in a rut with your menu. And they've got something for everybody. Maybe you're like Jeff and you're looking for high protein. Maybe you're trying to drop some lbs. You want calorie smart. Maybe you're on the Mediterranean diet. They can help you with that. Maybe you've tried GLP-1. Well, they've got GLP-1 support. That's a whole category here. Not only that, they've even got ready to eat salads. It doesn't get any easier or more convenient than Factor. Plus, they've got a new Muscle Pro collection, which supports strength and recovery. That's perfect if you're trying to get back into the workout routine. What you need to know about Factor, and this is important: it's always fresh. It's never frozen. It's ready in 2 minutes. There's no prep. There's no stress. So it's easy to actually stick to your goals. And you know me and Jeff. And if you really knew us, you would know if it don't taste good, we ain't eating it. Head on over right now to factormeals.com/myworld50off. Use the code myworld50off and you'll get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. This offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code qualifying auto renew subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Go right now at factormeals.com/myworld50off and use that promo code myworld50off. All right. So Jeff, I gave you a minute. I want to hear, who is your equivalent to Conan? So the American equivalent of the impact that Conan had in Mexico on wrestling. Who's the American equivalent for you?
So I thought, and I after I came up with this one, Conrad, it's just like, I'm not going to keep beating my head against the wall right out of the gate. Who broke on the scene and was a little bit unorthodox, if you will. Conan had a big body. This guy that I said, I'll say, had a big body. Then he got the book, if you will, and was creative and tried different things and made a mark. And then kind of in his later years, but during that time, he would pick favorites, and not favorites, but like, hey, man, I'm going to do something with here. And this guy picked this guy, this picked by, and kind of still quite the impact on the business today. I'm going to go none other with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
I have the same answer.
No way.
That was my answer. And I know that some people who are old school wrestling fans are going to say, oh, Conan. Oh, look at there. Greg Jacobson said the exact same thing. Conan, he has nothing in common with Dusty. He has a lot in common with Dusty. He was a major draw, incredible business mind, can book for business, can create cards.
And I say positively this way, kind of quirky. Like Sting's got a story about how Dusty came to him and said, hey, man, but like Conan, I can remember, oh boy, this goes way back, but we would have different conversations. He's like, Jay, I've got this guy down here, da 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 da, like this, and all of a sudden, Phoenix appeared. I could give you 4 or 5 if we had enough time. I could go back and really think through all this, but like today, Phoenix and Penta, when he started talking about Phoenix, I'm just like, son of a gun. He's athletic. I mean, yeah, the eye for talent, an eye for talent, creative, short-term thinker and long-term thinker. Yeah, cool.
I love that we both landed on the exact same name. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I did see one of the suggestions in our live chat, and we are taking your live questions. We're going to get back to those.
We got a lot of comments tonight too, Connie.
Well, this is what happens when we don't do it at 10:45 in the morning, and we do it when people are actually home. I know sometimes we try to facilitate, hey, what's best for our personal schedules? But what's best for them is if we're doing it in the evening. Maybe we'll do more of this. But Road Dogg, our personal friend, friend of the show, been your boy since what year? 90 what?
94.
Oh, it's got to be earlier than that, doesn't it?
No, I mean, you talk about Road Dogg, the roadie. He appeared in
Brian James has been one of your buddies since what year?
Oh, 94. No, we got tight. Now, did we know each other? Sure, but
I got you.
Yeah. It's
so you're talking about a 32-year really tight personal friendship here.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that y'all were tight when each of you individually or collectively were at the top of the mountain, and maybe at other times when maybe you were in some of the valleys?
I said it in my Hall of Fame acceptance speech or whatever, induction speech. He inducted me. Talk about a guy that is like, I felt like we went in together because he was with me in my lowest of lows and highest of highs. And I'm not talking about just on screen, just living life together in so many things. Like him and his dad drove up from Pensacola in the TNA Asylum days, and the 3 Live crew. I mean, we could go on and on. So yes, you just very rarely do you run across in life folks that you just kind of instantly bond with. And again, I go back to wonder why Jeff and Owen were such buds, and yeah, we were sons of wrestlers. Wonder why Brian and Jeff were, because we learned a lot through osmosis, sons of wrestlers. You just kind of I've said it. The understanding of the industry it's kind of I hope that doesn't sound like pompous. It's just kind of a different deal. It really is. But Brian's one of those guys.
Well, we're talking about Road Dogg because he made some headlines on Friday. I think it was Friday. Maybe it was Thursday. But one of those days, man, his name was everywhere last week. It was towards the end of the week, and I think some of us were caught off guard. You maybe have not been, but I'm not in any sort of regular communication with Road Dogg. But hey, he's welcome at my family reunion, and I know I'm welcome at his. He's one of those friends I have in my life that I know I don't have to talk to every day to know that, hey, we're buds for real. But I know you guys were thick as thieves once upon a time. And so I was a little surprised when I saw the news, because the reality is, who quits? But the answer is Brian James. It sounds like, without me talking to him, kind of like he's had all he could stance and he can't stance no more. The report is Road Dogg quit WWE Friday, doing so in person rather than being let go. Now, I don't want anyone to misread into that. This is the report from Mike Johnson. But I think a lot of people initially reported, oh, they cut Road Dogg. Okay. Well, that's not really what happened. Company sources have cited only that he openly expressed his unhappiness and tendered his resignation from the creative team. There was a report in the Observer. I think I'm doing this from memory, but I think in the Observer, it was mentioned that there was perhaps a job review that he disagreed with, and
Looks like Conrad might have frozen up, Jeff. Let's take some live questions. Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he always gets on me.
Yeah,
about my wife. And I was just like, what's going on? All right,
The tables have turned.
It's that damn North Alabama BS. But I will say this. I don't know if you know this, Dave. If you look on radar, tornadoes were coming through down his area. So I hope he's all right. So
yes.
I'm going to pop the questions up because I know we got I see a DraftKings question in there. I see a wrestling historian question in there. I'll let you run the show. So
here we go.
Let's out into it.
Let's start with the wrestling historian.
All right, a wrestling historian, as usual. You always come. Oh, wait, this is your second one. What was your favorite AEW match you had? Oh boy, gosh. Obviously the Owen against Hangman, but I was recently reminded about my match in Winnipeg. In Winnipeg, I've got a special history with that market. I wrestled Orange Cassidy there for the international title. That was a match that had all kind of ups and downs. The tag match that me and Jay had against FTR in Vegas, and that was Karen's first pay-per-view. That was I could go through several of them. When I think and look back on my AEW career at this stage of my career, sometimes I have to pinch myself because I'm like, man, for this is not your opinion, folks, if you listen to this, but for me, I've had some pretty cool highlights for a guy 58 years old. The Wembley response blew me away. I was just blown away by that. But the leather strap match that I had with Hangman, and I dove off the top onto Hangman in the pile during that match. That's one of my favorites. It's hard, man. A wrestling horse story. It's hard to name one, but I've got several. Good question, as usual. All right, add noise floor BG. Better not BG James, noise floor. But anyway, will there be a Revolution breakdown with the DraftKings guy again this week? Well, boy, you read my mind. I'd give anything if we could be doing a breakdown because my man, Steve Buchanan, he is the one and only, and he just knows how to break it down. He made me a fan of something that my family's been in for 3 generations, but to kind of look at it through the eyes of a gambler, and it just is like a fresh coat of paint. But I wish we could. I wish we could do it every week going into Dynamite or Collision. I think it would be a upside for DraftKings. I think it'd be an upside for AEW, and it'd be an upside for my world. Good question. Thank you for joining us. Okay, a wrestling historian. Was Kurt Angle still winning the TNA Championship at Slammiversary 2007 if you had competed in the King of the Mountain match as originally planned? I don't know that it was originally planned that I was in it. I'd have to go back and look at that, but I'll say this. I have said this kind of multiple times. I was at the marina, had to take a call because we were talking to Kurt back and forth, and Bob Carter wanted to talk to me before we move forward, and walked up off the marina dock and walked up into the parking lot because it was real loud music. And Bob was like, "Hey man, what are you thinking?" And I said, "Bob, yes, I think Kurt's going to be worth every penny because he will become the face of the company, and we can basically kind of put together the storyline arc and the Joe situation." We had a couple of different things in there, but Kurt, from day one when we signed, he was going to become the face of the company. I can't sit here and say until I had to look at it, but he was going to win the championship sooner rather than later. And I feel like the Slammiversary event was going to be about the right time after the trilogy of him and Joe. So always a good question from you, my man. Okay. Trigger Cheese 9435. My man Trigger, you never fail. You always ask like broad questions, but I'm going to make you have to go down deep. Best quality of every boss you had in wrestling. It's going to take me too long to answer the best quality of every boss. But you know what? At the end of the day, Jarrett, Jerry Lawler. We could go into, if we wanted to go to Texas and Japan, but anyway, Vince McMahon, Bischoff for a time. At the end of the day, the kind of the running quality of every leader in this industry is that, and look, they don't always show it, but when as long as you believe you have a voice at the table about your career, not the buck stops with me, but a voice. And I think at the end of the day, I'll say this. Sometimes my dad wasn't that way. Lawler always would at least say, well, what do you think? And I'm a kid. I'm not, 4 or 5 years in the business. He'd at least hear me out. But I'll say that about Vince. Vince wanted feedback in a unique way. Again, he's a different kind of cat. But if you just drill it right down to it and you say that out of that qualities that they care, I think Tony Khan epitomizes that. I'm not just saying that because he wants to hear, and probably to a fault, he tries to, because I do believe in the DNA, he knows that's the most successful is when you take ownership. And I think that's what his goal is that talent take ownership. So his quality of listening to talent, I think, is right there at the top. All right, Moose to Don. Hashtag Ask Jeff. What's your Starbucks order? I've seen you so many times at ring class events with that familiar company. You're right. But I am very, very simple. Black coffee with steamed half and half. Venti, I had one this morning at the hotel down in Fort Lauderdale at about 8 o'clock this morning. And then I had one when I got to the airport at about noon. So black coffee, steamed half and half. Thank you, Moose to Don.
Jeff, real quick, I need to tell everybody about our friends at Wrestling on the Spectrum. If you think you know pro wrestling, you might want to think again because there's a new podcast heat show that looks at wrestling in a way you've probably never heard before. It's called Wrestling on the Spectrum, hosted by Brody Herman. Brody sees wrestling differently, literally. As someone on the spectrum, his mind processes patterns, storytelling, wrestling psychology, and wrestling history in a way that most fans simply don't. And when Brody starts talking about wrestling, you realize just how much you may have missed. From the territory days to the Monday Night Wars to today's world of WWE, AEW, and of course the independent scene, Brody connects the dots between eras, wrestlers, and storylines with a level of knowledge that surpasses even the most hardcore fans. But Wrestling on the Spectrum isn't just about results and match grades. It's about why wrestling works, why certain wrestlers connect with audiences, why some storylines stand the test of time, and why others fell flat. Alongside Brody is a cast of lifelong wrestling fans who bring different perspectives to the conversation. Flying Ryan Swingler represents the generation that grew up when wrestling got ruthless. And Tony Patrico brings the voice from the Attitude Era fan. Together, they dive deep into wrestling history, current events, and the psychology behind the sport. But what really makes the show special is hearing how Brody's mind processes professional wrestling, the patterns that he sees. He connects things that we miss and the incredible knowledge he brings to every episode. For wrestling fans, it's fascinating. And for anyone who loves storytelling and the history of professional wrestling, it's hard to stop listening. Wrestling on the Spectrum, a different perspective on the wrestling business. New episodes are available each Saturday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show on Instagram at Wrestling on the Spectrum or on Twitter at Wrestling OTS. And Jeff, we're live, still taking some fun questions. I'm glad we got your Starbucks order in there. We know your Waffle House order. Moostadon says, not even close to Meltzer. Brody is a great dude. I love we're getting some love for Brody in here.
Yeah, yeah.
I do want to ask you a question here. This is from Wrestling on the Spectrum, who says, thank you for coming on our show. Did you realize you won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship 4 times in a very short time period between April 16th and May 19th, all in the year 2000? That's a lot.
Oh, Brody, do I realize? I'm well aware. I scratched my head. The flare switch, the first time in Chicago Center, I've talked about, every little boy's dream. I believe getting into the industry, at some point it has to cross your mind to be the world heavyweight champion, and the big gold that's sitting right behind me, and all the lineage that goes with that. But man, I do think the flip flop is one of the things when you look at. Oh gosh, just a couple of different things during that time. But Brody, you know as well as I do. But yes, I'm well aware that there was some flip flopping going on, and it wasn't high spots.
No, we're not doing many of those. We do have another question here from, and this one comes to us from Big Lou Media. Much love from Scotland, lads. Fun question. What's your favorite movie and favorite guilty pleasure movie? That's interesting because you're not really a movie guy, but I did hear, and I can't believe this is real. Kevin Sullivan says your favorite movie of all time is Smokey and the Bandit. That can't be real.
He used to laugh about that, but I can still quote lines from Smokey and the Bandit. My little girls love The Wizard of Oz and Grease, so I've seen those movies over and over. What are some other? Anyway, me and Road Dogg, we just brought up him earlier. We could recite Tommy Boy and Dumber Dumber. Those were two classics. But I am not the biggest movie guy at all, and what's the Jason Bourne series? Karen still can't believe that I hadn't seen those. But Shawshank to me, if a movie, it's one of the, hey, what movie do you stop at if it's on cable television? I love, you ever see that movie, The Negotiator too, Conrad?
Yes.
I like that one, but no, Shawshank is one of my all-time favorites for sure.
Hey, I do want to ask you about something that was on my radar last week. I don't know if you saw this, but Logan Paul finally addressed something that I think a lot of fans have had questions about. It feels like for months, fans have been complaining about TKO selling ad space on the canvas. But what I always wondered was, hey, how does that affect the in ring performance, or does it at all? Now, I know that you've wrestled on a lot of different rings, but I think one of the first times I remember seeing you as a fan wrestle on a painted ring would have been when you were in the Sportatorium and there was a sponsor. And I know that it's common in Mexico for there to be logos imprinted on the canvas. But even in WCW, when you laid down for Hulk Hogan, there was a giant Bash at the Beach logo, and it was sponsored by Master Lock. Different eras, there was a Nitro logo there in the middle of the ring. In all of your experience, we've never talked about this. Does there being a graphic of some sort on the ring affect your ability to wrestle there? Here's what Logan said. I'm going to say it. By the end of the night, the middle of that ring gets really slippery with them logos painted in there. I'll just say it, bro. I noticed. I can't get running full speed. I got to be really careful with my feet and my placement because the logos that they now paint in the middle of the ring, and I know this was a thing because before Prime was on the mat, we were going back and forth with WWE about whether or not it was even possible because of the way they paint it. They wanted to actually stress test the mats and have people wrestle and see if it got oily. And they determined that the type of paint they used was okay, that it wasn't going to be slippery. But then they started using colored paint as well. And I don't know what they're using now, but I'm telling you, it's slippery. Now, this comes out of a conversation. I don't know if you saw the Elimination Chamber, but I guess LA Knight was on the top rope and he ate shit. And Logan was defending him, saying, not his fault. At the end of the night, the ropes are not only sweaty, but they're oily from guys hitting the ropes. So he slipped. And that's when he made this statement about the canvas. You've wrestled in rings that have these logos for years. Is that an issue, or is Logan onto something that if that canvas isn't changed by the end of the night, it's a different canvas than it is at the beginning of the night because of the sweat and oil and perhaps blood? What say you?
Well, and that is where, and I know WWE does it as well. They change, but that's, with all the sponsorships, do they have at AEW, there is multiple mat changes within a 2-hour show sometimes, blood or whatever, a segment, who knows, whatever it may be. But there can be mat changes all the time with all the different sponsored logos. I'm assuming WWE, with all the billions they're making, they have backup. But there is no doubt, I'll never forget, big show in Mexico. They have 5 big ones a year. Get to the building, go out to the ring, kind of walk through, in my mind, different spots out there. And you always have to kind of be careful where are they closest to you and all that. But there was guys that had a paintbrush and they're painting different things, and they had hair dryers. And look, that can be like glass, but that was kind of under each turnbuckle they were doing different things, but then also there was like a grit, a sand that they went back and put over top her. It's all about grip, and Logan's is right that things can really happen quickly. You just got to be ready and learn and adapt. And it is what it is. He should know better than anybody with this Prime situation. They're not going to change the mat style, because of danger. They're going to get their money out of their sponsors. So you better plan accordingly.
I want to ask you a little bit about the news of Steph DeLander and Mance Warner. This is a headline from last week. Of course, the story, if you missed it, is they're both no longer with TNA Wrestling. I guess the idea is they quit. Quote, we're told that it stems from the company refusing to clear Steph DeLander to return to the ring from injury. And she actually went on a podcast and discussed this. She says, I've had a neck injury for a while, and I've actually had 2 neck surgeries, and no one knows that. I've only posted about one, but I actually had 2. My surgeon wanted to put a little bit more hardware in there, but fully recovered, fully healed. I actually went to WWE's spinal surgeon to do the surgeries, and I got clearance a few weeks ago. I've been pitching storylines and working my way towards my in-ring return with TNA, but then I received a phone call on Monday of this week that basically they never wanted to let me wrestle at TNA again. They just didn't feel comfortable with that, so then I made the decision to leave, and my husband did too, in solidarity. I had a feeling that this was the way it was going because every time I broached the subject about my in-ring return, I felt like the higher-ups were avoiding the question. We were snowballing towards the projected date, and I was not getting any answers, so I felt like this was coming. I reached out to my boss and was like, look, if there's been conversation about me not wrestling again, just let me know. So Carlos, now she's talking about Silva here, Carlos Silva, called me on Monday and told me, look, we're just not comfortable with you wrestling. And I was like, well, I'm fully cleared. And he said, yep, not into it. And then I asked, do you know what my injury is? And he didn't know. He couldn't tell me what my injury was. I've not been evaluated by any medical professional on the TNA end. They have a chiropractor at the shows, and I think one other doctor who I've barely ever spoken with. So they haven't evaluated my medical history. They haven't contacted my surgeon. They haven't looked at any of my medical stuff. They made a personal decision, and that's where we're at now. So this is all a quote from her, and she says, I'm not going to let a businessman with a hat tell me when my career is over. So I think that's an interesting quote, but I am curious from your perspective, what do you make of this, Jeff?
You know what? I don't think, because I read that last week. I don't think, I just don't think Conrad, well, to my knowledge, TNA or Carlos, nobody's commented on that. I don't get into HIPAA laws and all that, but I don't think we're armed with enough information. But hats off to Mance and Steph that, hey, take your career in your future in your own hands. I mean, that to me, I think above everything, but all the ins and outs and that, I don't think we're dealing with enough information on what the contracts do and don't cover. That's a slippery slope there.
No doubt. I totally agree. We want to know what you guys think. Where would you like to see Mance Warner and Steph DeLander land next? Where would be a good landing spot for Mance and Steph?
Ton of talent.
It feels like it's a no-brainer that we're going to see them, back in GCW, maybe back in MLW. Certainly they could do some stuff with the NWA, but I wouldn't be surprised, especially since she used WWE surgeons, if she was somehow on WWE or NXT's radar. It feels like she could be a natural fit with AAA as well. Do you think there's an opportunity? Because Mance has actually wrestled in AEW before. I think he was on, was it Collision? Or what was the Friday show?
Rampage.
Maybe it was Rampage against Moxley. But I remember he has at least had a match or 2 there. Where do you think you'll see them pop up next, Jeff? If you had to guess?
You know what? Wherever they want to. He is a unique talent, and it goes without saying, Cream's going to rise to the top. Just looking for the opportunity, the break. We've talked about Mance offline multiple times. He just needs that break. God.
So somebody who is going to be taking a little bit of a break from WWE, it looks like, is Pat McAfee. He
Oh,
was promoting NFL free agency this week on his show, and he was taking live questions. And one of the questions that he took, I believe it was on social media, was about when we could expect to see him return to WWE. And he said something along the lines of, I don't think you ever say never, especially with WWE, but right now it does not feel like it's something that's supposed to happen. Feels like that business has kind of passed me by a little bit. Grew up loving it, dreamed to work in it, geeked and honored with the opportunity to work with the GOAT, Michael Cole, but I feel like he's in a good spot without me. I'll continue to watch. So that was all on his Instagram story, I believe, where he was just answering questions from fans. And a lot of people are curious, hey, what does this mean? Now, some people are reading into it, Jeff. Imagine that. And they're saying, oh, he must have had some sort of falling out with WWE, or maybe TKO doesn't want to pay him. There's a lot of negative Nancy's out there who think there's more at play here, but I think there's maybe an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? This guy's making money hand over fist. It's another layer of travel that's required between football, and college football and his show and. There's only so much time in the day. Maybe this was just a box he had to check. Like, hey, as a fan, I loved it. This sounded like fun. I did it. But it's probably not the best paying job he had. So hey, if he's happy with his experience, good on him. Were you surprised by this announcement, Jeff?
well, Conrad, look, when you connect the dots, which I am way on the outside looking in, but let's just say this: Nick Khan, Pat, Ari, ESPN, all their players are on the table. So he's got multiple kind of layers. If he wanted to do it, he'd do it. But Conrad, we don't need to go into this rabbit hole, but I don't think Pat works cheap anymore, and more power to him. And when you have fixed income in Netflix, in ESPN, and on and on down the line, I don't think you really need to add a big fat line item for an announcer. No disrespect to Pat, because he is fantastic at what he does. But I believe Ari reports to Wall Street every 90 days. And I think you're going to continue to see big ticket items casually say, that business has passed me by. Now, Conrad, did that phrasing just jump off the page at you?
I would say it didn't pass the sniff test. We all know that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I
He,
just went, Pat, come on.
he's giving a PR answer, Jeffrey. We know that.
I loved it. I absolutely love it. But the business is just past. Now, dude, you are him and Saban on Saturday mornings college football. They are TV gold. And Nick Khan and him are buddies, and he's going to come out with the answer. Yeah, man, that old WWE's just passed me by. Okay, Pat.
Well, it is funny
I
because
respect it. I do. I respect it. It's funny.
doesn't it make sense now that we just recently, in the last few weeks, saw what's clearly a bullshit report? Oh, Ari Emanuel is trying to make Pat McAfee the next Sylvester Stallone. Give me a fucking break. He got him a gig on Tulsa King, but are we supposed to believe? I mean, listen, I'm a big Rocky fan. Who doesn't? What red-blooded American doesn't love Rambo? Hey, I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan, but at the same time, like, why are we assuming that this guy who's got the tiger by the tail, making money hand over fist, talking about sports, his true passion, is now all of a sudden going to become? No, come on now. But it does make sense that there was a 1-2 punch approach here. Like, hey, just so you know, Pat's still on great terms with Ari. Pat is in the family. We're gonna keep making money together. A few weeks later, oh, that wrestling business has passed me by. I don't think the timing's accidental.
I don't either. I love it. You gotta
Some,
love entertainment.
Something else that's not accidental is taking better care of our dogs. I don't know if Pat's got that dog in him, but I know your dog has a happier dog inside them. If you'll help take care of their little gut health, I have to admit, I didn't know that my dog Ginger scratching her ears and licking her paws. I just thought dogs like chewing on their paws, man. I just thought that legitimately. I guess I was wrong. That's a sign of allergies. It turns out that our dogs, when their allergies flare up, it's because there's an imbalance in their gut. And you got to sort of rewild your dog's gut. And I want you to do that with Better Wild. What they did is they took your dog's mighty ancestor, the wolf, and they put a probiotic in there to sort of rewild them up and make sure that they don't have some of these environmental allergies that are kicking their butt right now. I'm a big believer in this, and if your dog is scratching their ears or chewing their paws, I want you to take better care of your dog with Better Wild Allergy Release Soft Chews. I started doing this with all three of my pups. I've noticed a huge difference in all of them. These are designed to help support your pet's allergy defense system. It's going to strengthen their digestion. It's going to help them restore the balance from the inside out. We've got this Ancestral Advantage Wolf Probiotic, all these natural ingredients to help support gut, immune, and skin health. You're going to have colostrum that's going to give them better fur. You're going to make sure you fight off inflammation. You've got L-Sacii, which is derived from kimchi, like just really great stuff for your dog. If you're looking to take better care of your dog, I want you to look into Better Wild. My mom did this with her dog, and I'm telling you, it is night and day. The dog just feels happier. The dog looks happier. It feels like the dog's in a better mood. And they can't say, hey, mom, hey, dad, my allergies are flaring up. You don't notice. But when you notice these behaviors eliminate, you realize, oh, wow, I should have been doing this years ago. Instead of just covering things up, you're actually supporting your dog at the source. Go get yourself some Better Wild. They're committed to helping your dogs with clinically proven, veterinarian approved solutions you can feel great about. And right now, dude, Better Wild's offering our listeners up to 40% off your order at betterwild.com/myworld. Just go right now, betterwild.com/myworld to up to 40% off your order. That's betterwild.com/myworld. Jeff, I do want to talk a little bit about this weekend because we've got a monster pay-per-view coming up. But you said something right there that I think a lot of people would let go in one ear and out the other. You said, I think in this guaranteed revenue world that we're in right now, running a P&L, old Nick Khan probably takes a look at the numbers and says, Pat doesn't come cheap. Let me explain in Jeff speak what he's saying there. You have a fixed amount of money that's coming in from Netflix for Raw. You have a fixed amount of money that's coming in for USA and SmackDown. You have another fixed amount of money that's coming in for the CW and NXT. You've got another fixed amount of money for the Saturday night's main event specials on Peacock. You've got another fixed amount of money coming in from Fanatics to handle all of your merchandise. You've got another fixed amount of money that's coming in specifically just for the premium live events with ESPN. So I'm saying all that to say it's no longer a guess. It's no longer a curiosity. It's no longer all hands on deck. Let's do whatever we can to draw as much as we can. A lot of these revenue items, these line items now, they're fixed. You know exactly what they're going to be because you pre-negotiated it. So the only real way that they can grow are sponsorship and advertising. And does Pat McAfee add to that? I don't know. Now, I know some of our listeners would say, well, of course they do. Well, respectfully, if an advertiser or an agency wanted to be in the Pat McAfee business, wouldn't they buy an ad on the Pat McAfee show? So that doesn't really help WWE. And the other thing that they can make money on and monetize is ticket sales. I think Pat McAfee is super entertaining, but I can't hear his commentary when I buy a ticket. So realistically, what opportunity is there to get a return on a guy like Pat McAfee? I'm saying all that to say there is a contingent of wrestling fans who say, oh, guaranteed contracts killed the business. Because now instead of guys trying to fight and scrape and scratch and claw to move up the card and make more money, they make the same whether they win, whether they lose, whether they're hurt, whether they're working, whether they show up, whether they protest their creative or not. But I think the same thing can be said about the promotions now, Jeff. If WWE has all of these different income streams effectively pre-negotiated, aka capped, it's guaranteed. It's great for shareholder value, but it does change your North Star, does it not?
1,000%. And I believe I'll say that this won't be it's in the first, won't be the last, but you can just kind of see. We've said it many, many times. I've gotten a lot of buzz back on that too, Conrad. Just about TKO, the merger, year one, year two. We're about into year three, I guess. Just the changes are going to continually come. It's very interesting. I still looking for Mania to have a late buy round, but there's all kind of chatter on that. But I think Pat, I didn't think too much about it because he is so entertaining in college football, and college football is where his bread is for sure buttered, and obviously his daily is even bigger than that. But he had A-Rod on there the other day. That's his DNA. But man, oh man, I just the business passing him by, I just went whoop, red flag. So it's interesting. Fixed revenue is it's a great thing for shareholders, but what's the long tail of it? That's TBD.
It is TBD. Well, let's do a few more questions, and then we're going to quickly preview the Revolution card. AOTV Productions wants to know, Jeff, did you see the body cam footage of Vince's car crash?
When I saw that come across early at AOTV Productions, I appreciate you asking that. I have to say that, yes, I saw it. How old is Vince? 82, 83, going over 100 miles an hour. That's mind-boggling to me. My daughter's asked me, she's like, is this real? Is that really him? I said, listen to him. He's pissed off at himself, and he hadn't driven the car in a while. So I hate to say this, but I'll say this. That is typical Vince behind the curtain or behind the curtain. He's pissed off at himself.
Rumor and innuendo is he doesn't drive anymore, which is probably better. Little Jimmy.
I hate to hear that. All right, go ahead.
Wait. Hang on. You hate to hear that he's hired a full-time driver riding around in the back of a Maybach? That's a stressor for you?
It ain't stressor. It just if he has come to the point of giving up his driving privileges, and I don't know that to be the case, but Father Time is undefeated. I'll just say that.
Let me say this.
Real quick, and you've heard this, but we used to do creative meetings, till 2, 3. I mean, I've been in his office at 3:30, 4 in the morning. I have a 6:05 flight out of LaGuardia, go to all that kind of stuff. But it was always fascinating to me. We break the creative meetings. We're fourth floor, go to second floor. And I would be in there gathering my stuff, and you look out the window down on the street, and you see a car pull out of Titan Towers.
A Bentley.
I mean, 0 to 60 in seconds. And I'm like, damn, brother's out of here.
By the way, if you're curious, not the V8 variant. Vince was V12s or nothing.
Wow.
Little Jimmy 97 says, thoughts on WWE selling the Crown Jewel Championship as replicas. It was priced at $2,000 and sold out in about 5 hours. That happened earlier today. I'm kind of surprised by that myself, but I will say this. It shows you that, wrestling fandom, WWE fandom knows no limits, because I don't think most people would say, boy, that Crown Jewel belt, that's the one I grew up on. That's the one I love the most. But $2,000 for a collectible, and they sold out in 5 hours. Now, we don't know how many they made, in fairness, but I just thought that was fascinating to me, that here's a $2,000 replica belt of a belt that most people didn't care about, and whatever stock they had, it's gone now.
I've had different conversations over the last couple of months. I had one with executive who does a lot of work in India, but he's UK based. And I threw out the term 3rd generation fan. And then I also, in my baseball world, talk about 3 generation fans. What is Mania? WrestleMania 40? What is it?
2.
We're 40. Anyway, so when you look at all the WrestleManias, now folks that are, 50 north, that got plenty of disposable income, there's your buyers. That it's nothing to them. Drop $2,000 on having some kind of belt like that. It's to me, wrestling just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow to our amazement. Certainly my amazement.
Well, something that's going to keep growing are the AEW faithful who say AEW always delivers on pay-per-view, and deliver they will this weekend. They're going to be doing AEW Revolution live on HBO Max pay-per-view. It happens this Sunday, March 15th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, there's a pre-show. If I had to guess, there's going to be a handsome gentleman there wearing some fancy black jeans, and he's probably going to have an extra medium T-shirt on that says "Last Outlaw." It's going to be awesome. Listen, there's a lot of great cards or matches on this card. We'll briefly run through them. We got a 21-man blackjack battle royale for the AEW National Championship, with, of course, the national champion Ricochet being front and center. He's going to have to contend with 20 other competitors. Of course, once upon a time, Double or Nothing was a Las Vegas event. I love that they're still keeping this blackjack battle royale, a 21-man intact. So we'll have that one on the card. We'll also have everyone banned from ringside for the ladies to hook it up. I'm, of course, talking about Marina Shafir and Timeless Tony Storm. There's an AEW Trios title match. Mystico is going to be teaming with Jet Speed to take on the Don Callis family. Mystico, of course, one of the biggest, most successful draws in the history of Mexico. He's setting records in CMLL right now. So happy for his success. Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight continue to impress. This is pretty damn loaded. Can't wait to see it. We've also got an AEW women's title match, 2 out of 3 falls. We've got Chris Statlander and Thekla. And I have to tell you, I was so impressed with Thekla the last couple of collisions. I mean, she looked like she was right out of a Street Fighter video game 2 weeks ago. They're going to pull out all the stops. There's going to be a lot of hardcore ass kicking there. Speaking of ass kicking, what about Swerve Strickland and Brody King? They're going to hook it up, and what a match this will be. Brody King is one of JR's favorites. Swerve Strickland feels like he may be the modern day chosen one for AEW. Can't wait to see that one. I can't wait for the tag match. A lot of people knew if and when FTR ever show up in AEW, it'll be a dream match when they hook it up with the Young Bucks. Well, dream on. We're getting another rematch this weekend. The gold is on the line. These two tag teams have been so important to AEW that their likeness now appears on the tag team titles. You've got the Big Rig on a side plate. You've got the Meltzer driver on a side plate. And that is the new, I believe, permanent tag team title design to immortalize both of these tag teams. And they're going to hook it up live on pay-per-view this weekend. We're still not done. We've got the Continental title match. And this is interesting, Jeff. I don't remember the last time we've seen this. A no time limit match. This is a rematch between Takeshita and Moxley. Of course, the reason this no time limit stipulation comes into play is they recently went to a very rare time limit draw. There is no time limit this weekend. Perhaps the match I'm looking forward to the most is Bandito and Andrade El Idolo. I don't know what the hell has gotten into Andrade, but since he's come back to AEW from his WWE experience, he has been on fire. Perhaps one of the hottest stars in AEW. What a tear. One banger after another, as the kids are saying. And this time he's facing Bandito, a guy who I think stole the show last year, All In Weekend, in the main event of the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Bandito, as a young person, grew up going to watch Andrade wrestle. Now they're going to face each other. I can't wait to see this. I think these are two of Mexico's finest, and they're doing it live on pay-per-view this weekend. But the main event, Jeff, this is what everybody wants your opinion on. You've got history with both of these guys. You've got the turd burglar, MJF. He's bringing his hair, and he's going to be there with the big gold belt, defending that title against Hangman Adam Page. It's a Texas death match. And I guess the stipulation here is, Jeff, if Hangman is unsuccessful, he can never challenge for the world title again. Those are some serious stakes. Hangman has become a bit of a professional at the Texas death match in AEW. Only thing I know to expect here is blood and violence. Let me ask you, Hanger's one of your favorites. Do you think we have a new AEW champion come Sunday night?
Conrad, I was shocked, literally shocked when they came out with this step. Hangman is and I believe, the face of the company in so many ways that he just kind of, he's just not my guy. He's our guy. But I don't see MJF dropping the title. I'll call it this early in his reign. I think when you drill it right down, the mindset, and I wish DraftKings and Steve Buchanan were here to give us a little insight on this. It's kind of why we do this industry is you can't call it. You don't know who's going to win. Who's going to win that and all that. But again, I it is so easy for me to say, oh, they're not backing themselves in a corner. Hangman's winning. But I'm going to go out on a limb and go, there's a curveball coming. MJF wins. I just that's a hell of a it's a hell of a not just stipulation because the Texas Death Match. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm gonna pick MJF is a hell of a talent and on a roll's roll. Go MJF.
I'm going the other way. I think
Okay.
Hangman gets it. I mean, I agree with you. I think all logic says that MJF has got to win, but when they added that step, I just can't imagine Hangman not challenging again. But hey, that's why we watch the pay-per-views. They always deliver on pay-per-view. And listen, I know we were talking about the way wrestling has changed. I know that I'm going to get a little bit heat online, but I want to say it this way because it's true. Do you realize at the end of the day, there's only one of these big two companies that is incentivized to make their pay-per-views worth the bang for the buck? The reality is, whether you buy more or you buy less of a WWE pay-per-view, WWE makes the same. AEW does not do that. They are incentivized to put on the very best matches, and that's what they're going to do this Sunday. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out at myaew.com. I don't know if you saw this, Jeff, but there was an announcement earlier today that says for international AEW fans, here's a peek at what's in store for you with an entirely new world of all elite wrestling. You can head on over to myaew.com to sign up now, including the brand new Watch AEW Fast channel, available for free around the globe. Tony Khan was quoted here, but they break it down. $7.99 a month. Get subscribers, AEW podcasts, AEW Dynamite, and Collision live. This is global now. You also get Ring of Honor, Honor Club TV live. And you also get the Ring of Honor pay-per-view live if it's airing during the month. You also get AEW TV archives. That's all for under $8 a month, an incredible value. But they've also got a $19.99 category. That gets you the Watch AEW Fast channel. It gets you the AEW podcasts. It gets you one AEW pay-per-view airing during the current month. You also get Dynamite, Collision, and Ring of Honor TV. You also get the Ring of Honor pay-per-view if it happens that month. You get AEW television archives, and you even get select pay-per-view archives. But this one is the big one. They've got one for $119.99 a month. And check this out. You get the Watch AEW Fast channel. You get the podcast. You get all the pay-per-views. You get Dynamite and Collision live. You get Ring of Honor TV live. You get the Ring of Honor pay-per-view. You get the AEW TV archives. And you get the AEW pay-per-view archives. This is all available now at myaew.com. Jeff, I know a lot of our listener base is here domestically. But for international fans, said in a word, this is a game changer.
Bingo. You think about that, man. $120 for everything. That's less than, I mean, you can't even put it, it's less than half price. So I'm excited about that. It's again, Conrad, we talk about it often. The business just continues to evolve more and more, but I do want to go back on Revolution, Mystico. I mean, we could go down Conrad, Andrade, match after match. Nobody does AEW pay-per-view. I know we're running short on time, but it's going to be a banger. I'm excited to do 0 Hour. I can't wait to dig into it. I get to see Renee and brag on the USA beating Canada in the men's and women's hockey, but that's for another conversation. But no, I'm excited. Hey, Conrad, I know we've got a couple of questions we still got to cover, I think, right?
Sure, Jeff, hit it.
No, Dave, yep, here we go. The Titans. Yes, Brody. I'm not completely dialed into it, but I know one thing. Amy Adams Strunk and the new coaching staff, they're going to go down swinging. No, I'm excited, man. New quarterback, a new coaching staff, new head coach, new staff, lots of folks coming in. I'm fired up.
Trigger Cheese wants to know any big plans for the 5th anniversary of the show. Jeff, that is coming up around Mania time. We got to come up with a plan of how we're going to celebrate our 5-year anniversary together, you and I.
Oh, well, it's in April. That is right around the 40th year. Conrad, let's throw a party here. We may do bunch of drive-bys, maybe a bunch of guests chime in. I don't know. Yeah, let's do something.
We'll have some fun.
Thanks, Sugar.
Listen, we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Looking forward to doing it again. I think Jeff had a lot of fun with this live. My hard drive did not. My IT guy has tinkered and has announced to me that somehow, some way, I need a new hard drive. So
Okay.
I did the rest of the show today from my freaking phone. We appreciate you guys joining us live. You never know what's going to happen live, but we're live, pal, as JR used to tell Psycho Sid. I'll have a new hard drive next week, and hopefully you'll have that subscribe button and that notifications bell live next week. You don't want to miss us. Make plans to join us. Go enjoy Monday Night Raw tonight on Netflix, but most importantly, don't you dare miss Revolution. I'm going to step out and I'm going to make a broad statement here that I think is factual. And I challenge anybody to push back on it. It's going to be the best wrestling PLE of the month. It's AEW Revolution this Sunday, live on pay-per-view. Jeff will be there. I'll be there, and you should be too. If you can't make your way to the arena, and tickets are on sale now, still a handful on sale at AEWTIX.com. Check it out on pay-per-view. You will not regret it. And I'm talking to you. If you don't watch regular AEW TV, if you consider yourself a lapsed fan, if you just like the old stuff, try it, damn it. Vote with your wallet, and you won't want a refund. By God, AEW always delivers on pay-per-view. Check them out. It's Revolution. It's live. It's this Sunday. And we'll see you next week right here on My World.
Peace.